And again, I ask for all the help I can get on reading things. For those of you who don't know, I have bad macular degeneration, so reading is difficult at best. First thing, the minutes from the previous meeting. I even forgot my phone to use for the light. Everybody received a copy of the previous minutes. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion,
Thank you.
motion to approve.
And a second, please.
Second.
And any further discussions, changes, deletions, omissions, anything else? There being none, I will have a vote to approve as written. Thank you. I'll vote that in. Next is acknowledgement of a donation from Gregory James for a very nice $2,500 to the Deer and Tick Committee, which he has done for the last several years, if not more. And we will put it to good use. I just wanted to acknowledge and thank him for that. We also sent him a personal letter saying thank you. Next is, tell me if I missed anything. Okay, number 4, Bo Payne's report.
You got this agenda or the?
No, I'm looking at the last agenda.
Gotcha. I mean, it's the same. It's just number 3. That's all. But
Right,
yeah,
number 3,
I
right.
don't have anything to report other than budget stuff, which we'll talk about as a separate agenda item.
Okay. And next I have on the list is education report. Julia, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Do you have anything to report?
Yes, actually, we are starting tonight at 5:30 is our first adult archery class offered by the town. It is running 4 evenings, just the 4 Wednesdays in August. A lot of people were asking for it, and so we offered just this small little 4-week session. We just wrapped up the session for July for the kids archery program. I held 2 tournaments. One for the younger kids from ages 9 to 13 and 9 to 12. And then the second group is 13 to 18. And we had that tournament. Actually, Chairman Bevilacqua stopped by for one of them. So he could attest to the fun he observed the tournament.
Everybody's having a good time and some of them are pretty good archers.
Yeah. And we just started a new session just this past Saturday and Sunday. And I had, let's see, 1, 2, 4. I had 4 entirely new students who joined up, and it was a full class this past weekend. So, and we'll have another tournament again. If I always invite all the supervisor, the town board members are welcome to come. Members of the community, parents. It's always the last Saturday of a month is when we hold a tournament. So, and that's actually all I have because I feel like we just met. So
Right.
Sort of, there hasn't really been anything update. The only thing I know is it's probably on our agenda, but I did go to my storage unit and I have some stuff ready for the Green Expo. But when that comes up, I can just let you know that we have some items that will be used for that table.
Sure. Very good. Next on the agenda, discussion, Barbara Harrigan, is it?
Yes.
Letter, which was a very nice letter, not just complaining about the number of deer and ticks, but suggesting if she could help, she would do whatever she could. I thought we'd bring that letter to the committee. I assume everybody saw it. And I took down some questions she had. Brought it to the committee just to re-highlight a couple of the things which we've discussed many times and settled on a long time ago. But let's just bring them up quickly in case I'm out of touch with what's gone on in the recent past about this. One question she had was about the fox population. Is there anything we can do about bringing back foxes to decrease on the small rodent population? And Barbara, to the best of my knowledge, there is not. Fox population goes up and down, is usually related to the amount of food that's available for them, small rodents. I think on Shelter Island, part of the problem was we had a bad mange issue with our foxes, really decreased the population seriously. I thought they were coming back a little bit, and then maybe we had another little episode, and I think you're correct, there's not a lot of foxes that I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. I assume they will come back at some point, but nobody that I know of has ever tried to introduce foxes or to try to bring them in. So anybody else has a comment on that?
No, just that I do have fox on camera in Silver Beach and like around the area of Sylvester Manor. So I
Right.
guess just take that as a
No,
good.
they are still around. I usually don't get to see too many until I start hunting. But I didn't see a whole lot last year. And so hopefully I'll see more this year. Next is tick aside on cotton balls that goes into that mice pick up to use to try to inoculate the mice. And Scott, you may have more to say about this. The last thing I heard that they do work, but the numbers that you have to put out are so significant that you can maybe do it for individual properties, but for us to do it as a town would be next to impossible, if not impossible, to get sufficient deployment out there that would make a difference. And when we look at it as a committee here, we have to look at it town-wide to see if we can make an impact. Is it worth the cost and the effort? Scott,
So it's called tick tubes, and
Right.
it is effective. You basically put, I think, one every 30 feet or so. I mean, there's a instructions, a label on the product that tells you how to put it. Yeah, and you kind of have to think like a mouse. You know, you just don't put it in the middle of the lawn. You have to kind of put it next to a log or a building where they're going to be running along. They are effective, and they kill the ticks on the mice, which are the black-legged ticks. Unfortunately, the Lone Star ticks are not impacted by these tubes because they don't really feed on mice. So, you know, Lyme disease is carried by the black-legged tick. So in theory, it's going to reduce the number one tick-borne illness, which is Lyme disease. But unfortunately, it's not going to impact the Lone Star tick population.
which is the one that carries alpha-gal, which Barbara was
And
concerned.
ehrlichiosis.
And
So-
ehrlichiosis, right.
So that it's, you know, again, any kind of tick management is going to be an integrated approach. And so that's one piece of the puzzle, but it doesn't alleviate all of the issues when it comes to ticks and tick-borne diseases.
Right.
Barbara, just ask any questions you want as we go along, okay?
At the Green Expo, could you have those and displayed so that people could start using them in their homes if they're interested?
I can try to get something together. I can't, we've talked about in the past about trying to get them and trying to sell them to the town, or have the town sell them. But logistically, it became very difficult. I have talked to them at, well, it used to be Jack's, which is now a dress, right, an art gallery this year, right? And they were a little concerned about, they were not in favor of pesticides at that point. So there was a little reluctance at that point to get them out there. The hardware store was a little bit more receptive, and I thought they had them up there, or they were getting something like that, but I don't think they do anymore. We can have I can probably put together a little sample of some for the Green Expo so people can see how to make their own, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, it's basically you take a little toilet paper roll, tube, put some cotton in it that's sprayed with permethrin, and that sort of functions as
Well,
it.
technically, you can buy the product
Right.
and apply it at your house. You wouldn't be able to buy the product and put it in Sachem Woods, for example. You know, it's not your property. But homeowners are allowed to purchase the product and distribute it around their homes.
And you can get it online.
Yes, you can buy it online and other locations, but I would probably look online. It probably would be easier to find it.
And cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I offer, is it appropriate for us at the Green Expo to make up a poster with a QR code that links the person just to a website where they can purchase this thing on their own? Is that possible?
I don't.
It's probably, I'm going to just weigh in quick. right?
Please.
So it's probably best if the town continues to offer information related to strategies that are available to individuals based on their own preferences, their own concerns, things like that. The committee has a document that exists. If you haven't seen it yet, we can certainly email it to you. Don't quote me. I believe it's simplified tick control strategies. And that is intended to give concerned persons options that may be available to them and sort of categorizes those options based on the level of impact that they're hoping to achieve. So if it's just an individual property owner, like with a single piece of property, or like an HOA with a group of properties, or perhaps even a larger either NGO or governmental entity. So the options are sort of categorized that way. I would strongly suggest that the committee and the town itself avoid recommending a specific product, either by name brand or otherwise, beyond just saying these are the tools that we have researched to support can be useful, depending on the level of use and interaction with other integrated approaches. But beyond that, I think it's prudent to just kind of be general in those things.
I think
All right,
Bo's correct on that.
So if that's the case, then just to respond to Bo, then it's fine. I was suggesting maybe another QR code for that. So our existing poster that we always bring to the table actually brings a customer to our tick, the thing that Bo just mentioned is basically our website. So if it's in there, then we're good to go.
That article Bo's talking about is on our website, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so you just have to go to Deer and Tick.
I'll bring the same poster, which just links back to that document and that, same thing, so.
And I would just have some of those.
We usually do.
Available, paper copies to hand out to folks who are concerned. It sort of summarizes all of that in a pretty simple
I didn't
way.
find it.
Okay.
Don't exist.
Sure.
Okay. Next one, question that Barbara brought up was immunocontraception for deer. Very expensive, difficult to do, difficult to know which deers are that you've worked on, deer that have to be trapped and or sedated, have a high frequency of dying after that, and has not been shown to be really, I would say, cost effective in doing it. And I would look to Bo to tell me if I'm right or wrong, or if that's changed over the recent past.
So in broad strokes.
Broad strokes again,
Broad strokes, you're more or less correct, right? Very expensive, highly labor intensive. There's, concerns for the overall well-being and survivability of some of the animals. There is all the animals, if they've been handled and drugged, need to be permanently identified. So we can identify them after the fact. That's not too much of a concern. This idea has been utilized in areas around here. Most locally was East Hampton Village about almost 10 years ago now. So there's some literature available on that. The committee, in producing the deer management plan, the Town of Shelter Island's official deer management plan, also sort of vetted the concept as a potential option. So there's some more specific information relative to Shelter Island's purposes in that document, which is also available on our website. Probably one of the single greatest issues with using immunocontraceptive or surgical sterilization is that the deer population is only reduced through attrition then, right? So you still have all of these deer in the environment, and you don't actually start to see a reduction in deer population, provided that you've sterilized or immunized enough does to interrupt the reproduction cycle. You don't really see a reduction in that, perhaps for as many as 7 to 10 years, depending on the longevity of the deer that are currently alive, the longevity of the fawns. Luckily, in an area like this, we don't have too much emigration from deer, right, coming and going. It does happen, but not to a level that would necessarily be a huge concern. But it doesn't have any near-term effects on tick disease cycle or any of the other related deer overpopulation issues like deer browse, deer vehicle collisions, things like that. So it is a much longer term concept, something that has been, again, discussed previously, but at least at that time wasn't a viable option for the town based on the totality of its utility.
All right. Barbara did offer to do anything she could to help us contact the appropriate political people to make our lives easier, better, or to help with the harvesting of deer and or killing of ticks. But I think we have Scott Campbell, who is the director of the entomology lab at Suffolk County, and probably has a few other titles that go with that. Is
You talk to, some of them aren't very good.
I didn't say that. Is very good as far as keeping us involved with the appropriate, at least Suffolk County people, which most of the deer management issues are really Suffolk County dependent. Even the state has different rules than Suffolk County does. So I think we're pretty well set with that, but thank you for the offer. Let's see, Barbara, anything else you have concerned here? Let's see, vaccination. They are working on, I think, 2 new vaccinations that are in at least stage 2 trials, if I'm not mistaken, maybe have come down further. Used to be at Stony Brook and Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts. I don't know if there's any others that are thinking, but the hope is that a new vaccine will be coming down the road, quote unquote, shortly. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the one is in the 3rd stage.
Okay.
But it'll still be probably a couple of years before it is on the market. Vaccines are nice and they're for Lyme disease. As I said, it's the #1 tick-borne illness, but it doesn't prevent any other tick-borne illnesses. So it's, it'll help, but again, it won't take away the risk of tick-borne disease. So it's all good, but I always remind people that when we talk about vaccines is that it's for Lyme disease and it doesn't affect anaplasmosis or ehrlichiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, tularemia, and babesiosis. I didn't mention that one. So there are other diseases you can get from tick bites. So it'll prevent the majority of them, but it won't eliminate all of them.
And you don't want people thinking that they have the vaccine.
They don't need it.
Therefore, they don't have to protect themselves.
Correct.
Again, as I've spoken about before, it seems like more and more of the evidence just pushes us to that education and protection is far and away the most important and one of the only things you can do to prevent disease. And that's what a lot of people are pushing these days. All the other ones are nice, and we try a totally integrated program to do whatever we can, take as many deer, kill as many ticks. But for me to talk to anybody outside today, I say you just have to protect yourself. And that means spray your clothes, tuck your pants legs into your socks, all of that thing. Spray your skin. DEET is the best, but if you're not into DEET, use a organic. And then most important, check yourself every single day, especially after you've been in the woods or gardening or in the brush or whatever, and check the kids, because the highest incidence of tick-borne disease, or at least Lyme disease, is probably in children still. It was at one point, and because they have to be checked and they are into everything. And so, all right. I think that's about all, Barbara. There were probably a few other things in your 2 little letters or emails. Anything else you'd like us to answer for you?
I have a question.
Yes, who's that?
That's cool.
My name's Paul Bang. I live on West Neck Road.
Hi, Paul.
Now, you see them all the time, the little yellow signs that warn you that your neighbor has treated their property.
Right.
Does the town have a recommendation on, I understand there's at least 2, maybe more, different kinds of treatments. Is there a recommendation on the effectiveness Or what?
Um,
What are the different kinds?
Right, so there's, in, again, kind of broad strokes, right, there's sort of the two categories that you're referring to, right, they're both pesticides. They're products that are intended to kill a pest, right, so they're considered pesticides in New York State. Traditionally, they fall into two categories, one being like synthetic pesticides, right? So those would be like your permethrin-based, your bifenthrin-based, things that have a synthetic product that's been manufactured specifically to kill ticks, right, acaricides. The other ones are I always get the number, 26B, right? 25B, 26B, exempt.
Yeah.
So they're quite often people use terms like organic pesticides or safer, right? Those are really, really not great terms to use. They tend to be products that are based on naturally occurring products that have documented some level of efficacy in either killing or repelling ticks. So those tend to be like oil-based cedar oil, rosemary oil, lemon eucalyptus, I think is one, things of those natures, right? And those are products.
Lavender oil.
What's that?
Lavender oil.
Lavender oil, right.
25B.
25B, right? I always get that.
Yeah, no.
I can never remember. So those are products that are largely exempt from the pesticide reviewing process that the state mandates for synthetic pesticides. They have different application requirements. They have different notification requirements, right? So those little yellow signs that you see. There are published sort of rates of efficacy for all of those products, at least any of them that are commercially available. If somebody's generating a pesticide, an exempt pesticide in their back room, that may not be published, but for all of the larger name brand products that a licensed, reputable applicator would be applying, those are all available, right? The literature related to those is available. Some of which I think Moses at Suffolk County Public Works, right, Scott?
Public Works, yep.
Right, he's done some pretty extensive, like his arena tests and things like that, the arena trials, right? There's a good body of research and evidence that's come out fairly locally. So the town doesn't make a specific recommendation on using a 25B exempt product versus a non-exempt product. That's a decision that the homeowner needs to work out with their licensed pesticide applicator.
I would say that if a well-manicured lawn is not great habitat for ticks. Ticks die when it gets hot out and they desiccate, they dry out. So spraying your lawn they kill ticks. I don't want to say they don't kill ticks. They also kill crickets and bees and butterflies and everything else, okay? So you just have to be careful and make a decision about the use of them. And as I said, well-manicured, shortcut lawn is not great habitat for ticks. You get back into the weeds, off the property, into the bushes, that's where you're gonna find. Leaf litter is the classic description where you're gonna find your ticks. So use them, they're usable, they work, they kill ticks. How effective they are is, still in question. I mean,
Again,
You're not gonna tell mom and dad the first time their kid comes in with ticks that you shouldn't use spray A or spray B.
didn't say you shouldn't use it, okay? I'm saying they work, okay? I'm saying just think about it, okay? If you don't have little kids running around and you're going to take care of yourself and everything else, just make sure you think about the downside. Everything, I'm a physician. Every antibiotic, every drug that we take has side effects. And if you listen to the television anymore, when they talk about every other ad is a medication, they list the side effects are longer than the effects of that medicine. So you just have to think about the downside side effects that come with anything that you apply. That's all I'm saying. They work. I said that, okay?
So that document that I referred to earlier, right, the simplified tick control strategies, also enumerates things like Doc just mentioned, landscaping, steps you could take landscaping wise that will help mitigate your risk on your property. Perhaps employing a spray of some sort, again, based on your concern for your property. And as I mentioned, that is the product to use is best decided between the homeowner, their level of concern, and the applicator that they're working with.
Okay. Further questions? Okay. Barbara, anything else we can address for you?
Just wondering if those your webpage could be, those documents be found more easily, just.
I will, Julia is our educational supporter, coordinator, and Julia will take a look at the webpage and see what it is, if there's a problem, or maybe you can talk to Barbara where she's having trouble finding that stuff. And
I'd love to,
We might be able to like rearrange the page a little bit and just make it a little bit more user friendly.
let's take a look at it, okay?
and share it more widely, perhaps.
Well, the thing is that, there's a limit to what we can do about sharing it, okay? Just, we don't want to go out and just say that it's on, you have to go to the town.
Yeah.
And we have a deer and tick
Got it.
webpage, that's where the people will find it, okay?
All right.
And as as you see, Barbara, you're the first person to be, person from the community to be sitting here in probably 2 years. So.
Well, that's wrong.
So Julia, you can work with, in your role as the educational sort of subcommittee, I would touch base with Christina and just make sure that, the webpage adequately reflects people's interests. I think there's some metrics that they can look and see kind of what's getting clicked and what's not getting clicked. And you may be able to push some of that to the top and maybe even embark on a public education campaign pushing that stuff.
Okay, I mean, some of the things we did earlier in the spring, like just prior to people coming out, was I actually worked with her to post some things on the town website, like on their social media. And then we did have, I think, 2 or 3 ads in the Shelter Island Reporter. It's possible just Barbara didn't see those, but they were half-page ads, kind of, summarizing a lot of the tick strategies in a more, fun, sort of friendly, concise way. So, but we can certainly do more of that, yeah.
Okay. Very good. Let's move on. And next is budget, I think, Bo.
So it's getting to be budget time. And I haven't heard anything specifically from anybody regarding desired changes to the deer and tick side of the animal control budget. I'm happy to push those forward. If anybody has a question or concern, as a reminder, that budget falls under animal control, which falls under the police department. So that's submitted by Chief Reed annually. And historically, the committee has sort of identified its needs and then pushed those through to, the chief. So in the absence of any suggestions or changes or anything like that, we're likely to put forth a similar budget as last year and then work with our partners at the town board to get that approved. So if you have any specific
Questions or any desire to bring
Email.
it out now, or at least get it to Bo within the next week or so?
How did this year's budget do with regards to our mission? Did we spend what we needed to spend? Was it?
Yeah, we have money. It's been lower. I would say our expenditures were lower, right? Our butchering was way down. The NUCO was way down. Our budget the budget for deer reduction management is always, I'll just remind everybody, is always a little bit confusing because our hunting, the butchering, The incentive program spans 2 budget years, right? Because our season starts at the end of one budget year and ends at the beginning of the next budget year. So there's always a little bit of confusion, I guess, if you will, right? We're very front-loaded on one budget year, and then back-end loaded on the other. So right now, we still have a fair amount of money in our deer reduction management line. That money is anticipated to be spent from October 1st to December 31st, or at least monies from that, not necessarily exhausted, but so we always have a fairly large amount of money left in that as we go into budget season, which tends to look like a budget that isn't necessarily needed, but then we have to be able to accommodate whatever butchering and incentives may come along from October to December for the first 3 months of the hunting season. So our approved budget for this year was 36,000 in that particular line, deer reduction management. We have 23,000 remaining in there. So I would not, just based on past years, I would not expect all of that to be exhausted, barring some major shift in hunting dynamics. But nonetheless, that's what that's for. The rest of the line items are all fairly small line items, 500 to 1,000. The ones that are specifically relevant to Deer and Tick Committee, right? So the educational program, we had $500 in there last year. We still have, I'm sorry, I don't know what the balance is. I can look that up real quick. We have 500 out of that. So whatever educational stuff has already gone out has either come out of another line, most likely deer reduction management. We tend to hit that one as much as we possibly can to avoid draining those smaller accounts immediately and do budget transfers as necessary.
So no glaring,
I don't think so. No.
the refrigeration, that unit is all good and.
Yeah, we haven't had any issues with it. Yeah, Paul at North Fork Refrigeration has been just absolutely phenomenal with us. Anytime we have an issue, he's there promptly. I think he's only sent one very small bill to us once in the 3 or 4 years we've had him working on things. So that seems to be going well. There's no major expenses anticipated either. So.
Thanks, Bo.
Let me just say something to Al, that even though, Al, we don't exhaust our deer reduction budget every year, we usually have some left over, it's very important that you realize that if we were to run out of money on that and we couldn't pay colors, it's just bad economics that you take a deer this year, a doe, if you don't take her this year, you have to take 3 deer next year because she's going to have 2 fawns. Yeah, so that's why even if you need the money, I get it. It's all coming from the same pocket for the town, but we need to make sure that we can cull as much as we can. And I'm not expecting we're going to have a big bonus in culling this year. But if we were to find somebody who wanted to take 100 deer for us, we'd be best off paying them, as far as frugally, economically, it'd be money well spent to pay it this year as opposed to try to kill through.
Culling is the predominance of effort.
Yeah, I mean, and doing it, right, making sure you can take as many as you can is very important, as opposed to putting it off, well, we ran out of money, don't take 10 extra does this year, you're gonna probably have to take 30 deer next year. So, just want to let you know.
I hear you.
Got it. All right, next. This year's Green Expo, Julia and I assume will be there, right, Julia?
Correct.
Right.
When is it?
I don't know, sometime in August.
It's August 23rd.
Hey, I just have all my Saturdays, I just look at.
He just goes up to the school every Saturday and
I
waits.
just go up and check, I drive
it's the
by.
day.
Hey, I'm supposed to be
If it's not today, come back next week.
What happens is, as I get older, my eyes go, but also my memory goes, okay? I don't remember the last time. I looked it up, but, okay, and.
Kim, I just want to say on that, we do have archery that morning, so if you could arrive first, and I'll just be a few minutes after you.
Not a problem. Okay. Any new business, anybody, old business, new business, anybody wants to bring up? Hearing nothing, anybody, nobody else online over there? No, okay. Call the meeting to have an end to the meeting, adjourn the meeting.
Yes, second.
Thank you. Okay. Cody, how are you?